So should the Speaker stay in his job?
The Speaker should stay in his job. He made a decision yesterday in good faith. I heard his explanation for making it. And votes would have taken place on all three motions, the SNP motion, the Labour motion, and indeed the government motion, if the government hadn't decided to essentially abandon the votes late last night. So I think the Speaker should be staying in his job.
The problem is that some MPs now feel that he's a Labour MP who was effectively lent on by the Labour Party. Keir Starmer went in to see him, asked him to do something, and he did it. You can see why that would be a problem. Any
suggestion that improper pressure was put on the Speaker is absolute nonsense.
OK, what was said? What was said then between those two?
The party leader, my party leader Keir Starmer, went in to see the Speaker and made the case, as he is perfectly entitled to do, for the ability of the House to vote on the widest possible number of amendments, including, of course, the Labour amendments. That's a perfectly proper thing to do. Party leaders go in to see the Speaker on a very regular basis, and so they should, because it enhances the way our democracy works.
Is there a record of what was said?
I wouldn't have thought so. I'm not aware that minutes are ever kept of meetings between party leaders and the Speaker, but that's what took place. And the idea of somehow anything improper or any intimidation is complete garbage.
It's about the authority of the Speaker, though, isn't it? And now some MPs feel he cannot command the authority of the House. You stitched him up.
That is just completely wrong. The Speaker made a decision in good faith, and we heard quite powerfully, actually, Sir Lindsay Hoyle yesterday in the House setting out the reasons for the decision that he chose to make. I think we should take that at face value.
He did set out the reasons. He was effectively saying that he's worried about the safety of MPs, the security of MPs, and he wanted to give them the widest possible range of things to vote on a very sensitive subject. I guess some might say the problem with that argument is that if decisions be made because MPs are frightened that there are threats to MPs, then you're bowing to those threats.
Look, it cannot be the case in any democracy, whether you are a local councillor up to being the Prime Minister, that decisions are taken because of a fear of physical threat or violence. I think that is absolutely fundamental to our democracy. At the same time, with Sir Lindsay Hoyle, he did speak about this very particular issue and needing the widest possible range of motions to vote on. But it is also to his credit that as Speaker, and indeed before that as Deputy Speaker, the level of commitment that he has given to the safety of MPs has been quite remarkable. And when I heard him refer to it today, it was referred to not just in a very authentic way, but it was also a reflection of so much of the work that he's done over a number of years.
Do you think he made a mistake last night?
Well, I think the Speaker's own words are that he apologises for, if you like, this duty of care towards...
Do you think he made a mistake?
No, I think the Speaker's decision that he made to give the widest possible number of options in these particular circumstances was the right thing to do. He made an assumption that the government would actually, on a matter of such extraordinary importance in foreign policy, with lives being lost in the Middle East, actually wish to vote on the motion before the House of Commons. And it was the government essentially fleeing the field last night that led to the position that we got to at the end of the proceedings.
There is just one thing that I want to ask you about while we have another story. It's the first time I've got a chance to speak to you since it happened. And it's about Labour's former candidate for Rochdale. Azhar Ali claimed that Israel allowed the October 7th attacks to happen, to give them cover, effectively, to bomb Gaza. Now, you condemned the remarks, but you defended Labour's initial position, which was not to suspend him as a candidate. Do you regret what you said at the time? No,
because what was said at the time was on the basis, firstly, total condemnation of those remarks. The candidate concerned had shown really a recognition of the extraordinary hurt and offence that he'd caused, but it was also listening to prominent voices talking about previous occasions when the candidate had a record of standing up alongside people against anti-Semitic attacks, and that this was something that was out of character. But as soon as it emerged that this was not something that was out of character, this was part of a pattern of behaviour, action immediately was taken. And this was taken, by the way, there was a story in the Mail on Sunday. By the Monday evening, support had been withdrawn from the candidate. So to suggest this didn't happen quickly,
no,
I think is right.
I'm not really doing that. Because, as you say, 24 hours after your interview, he'd been suspended. But you drew the short straw there, didn't you? You're on the phone to Keir Starmer saying, blimey, that was a tough round. You changed your position.
Well, I would hope with our media that every round is tough and holds me to account, and so it should be. But that was the position, that this was something that was out of character. It clearly wasn't, because other evidence came to light. That came to light in the course of the Monday. After that media round, of course, action was then taken.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.